Hi guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe if you get anything from my work. It helps. And if you get anything from my work, a connected dot, an epiphany, a mind-blown moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work, and all the links are at the bottom of the description of this video. I really want to thank those who came out this morning to watch the premiere of a very late recording I did last night that I figured, let me just do something a little different. I've done it a few times, but not within the last 6 months. So I did the truth about evolution and the Bible. The last part, the very last end, ending the book. And it was like a 2-hour video. I recorded it yesterday and edited it, and then I had to condense it, and it took forever. And then by the time I got done, it was 3 a.m. So I just said, I'm not going to post it right now. No one's going to see it. So I put it as a premiere, and I had some people show up. So thank you so much for the support and coming on and chatting with me. I was just waking up. I didn't get much sleep last night. Morgan, Cat, co-host number 1, keeps me up a lot at night because she sleeps during the day and then she's up at night and wants tub time and food and whatever. You know, she's on her way out, so I kind of give into some of that behavior. She's 18 years old. She's an old lady. So I woke up, put my alarm clock on, and was happy to see some people support me. And thank you that whoever did watch the whole thing. It's long, but there's a lot of good gems I dropped in there. I'm also starting to do shorts. Just trying some new stuff out, guys. So can't go wrong. And if I go wrong, I'll know it. But trying to put an effort out there again to manifest things that I want to see happen for humanity and for all of us. And in order to do that, more people need to wake up. I'm going to talk about what I'm talking about now on another episode. I'll do a spiritual soul advice video because I have been doing some social analysis, watching a lot of different things happening within different communities. The youth. Nah, I thought my generation is bad. Oh, no. They're sleeping. They're a part of the problem, but I've been seeing, oh my goodness. We're doomed. No, I'm not trying to sound like my parents, but I do want to thank everybody. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I had a really reflective day after that video because it just showed me the people that I continuously support through and through, day after day. The people that I do a lot for aren't the ones showing up to support me. And it hurts at some point in my inner self that I just have to traverse and let go and transcend. But it's a human part of me that I have no family to support me. And family mean my blood family, people that raised me pretty much. I don't have that kind of support, and it's just me. So when people do show up for me, it means a lot. You know, I don't have the friends that everybody else has that goes out and does things with. It's just me. So I really, really appreciate it. We have the Urantia book. Paper 51, the Planetary Adams. I'm excited about this whole part of the book because it's correlating with other work without it wanting to. And those that watch Miss Ashiana knows my stance on this. But I like this book regardless. And I think out of most work, this has the most description in terms of identifying the different jobs and the systems and going in depth. So yeah, and my table is usually a little bit lower, and I don't know, anywho, so sorry, I don't like to completely turn my body. I'm gonna try not to, but Planetary Adams. During the dispensation of a planetary prince, primitive man reaches the limit of natural evolutionary development, and this biologic obtainment signals the system sovereign to dispatch to such a world the second order of sonship, the biologic uplifters. These sons, for there are two of them, the material son and daughter, are usually known on the planet as Adam and Eve. The original material son of Satania is Adam. And those who go to the system worlds as biological uplifters always carries the name of the first and original son of their unique order. These sons are the material gift of the Creator Son to the inhabited worlds. Together with the planetary prince, they remain on their planet of assignment throughout the evolutionary course of such a sphere. Such an adventure on a world having a planetary prince is not much of a hazard, but on an apostate planet, a realm without a spiritual ruler and deprived of interplanetary communication, such a mission is fraught with grave danger. Insert us. It's about to rain again. Sorry, guys. I'm trying holistic stuff that resonates with me when I read what goes on. And because of my thyroid, I have to switch things up. So I'm in a lot of hurties. So I do apologize for the frequent movement. Although you cannot hope to know all about the work of these sons on all worlds of Satania and other systems, other papers depict more fully the life and experience of the interesting pair, Adam and Eve, who came from the corpse of the biological uplifters of Jerusalem to upstep the Urantia race. While there was a miscarriage of the ideal plans for improving your native races, still, Adam's mission was not in vain. Urantia has profited immeasurably from the gift of Adam and Eve, and among their fellows and in the councils on high, the work is not reckoned on a total loss. This is going to get interesting, and I love it. The origin and nature of the material sons of God. The material or sex sons and daughters are the offspring of the Creator Son. The universe mother spirit does not participate in the production of these beings who are destined to function as physical uplifters on the evolutionary worlds. The material order of sonship is not uniform throughout the local universe. The Creator Son produces only one pair of these beings in each local system. These original pairs are diverse in nature, being attuned to the life pattern of their respective systems. This is a necessary provision, since otherwise the reproductive potential of the atoms would be non-functional with that of the evolving mortal beings of the worlds of any one particular system. The Adam and Eve who came to Urantia were descended from the original Satania pair of material sons. Material suns vary in height from 8 to 10 feet. You heard that. Were they human? Bingo! And their bodies glow with brilliance of radiant light of violet hue. While material blood circulates through their material bodies, they are also surcharged with the divine energy and saturated with celestial light. These material sons, the Adams, and the material daughters, the Eves, are equal to each other, differing only in reproductive nature and in certain chemical endowments. They are equal but differential, male and female, hence complemental, and are designed to serve on almost all assignments in pairs. That's important. The material sons enjoy a dual nutrition. They are really dual in nature and constitution, partaking of materialized energy, much as do the physical beings of the realm, while their immortal existence is fully maintained by the direct and automatic intake of certain sustaining cosmic energies. Should they fail on some mission of assignment, or even consciously and deliberately rebel, this order of sons becomes isolated, cut off from the connection with the universe source of light and life. Thereupon, they become practically material beings destined to take the course of material life on the world of their assignment and compelled to look to the universe magistrates for adjudication. Material death will eventually terminate the planetary career of such an unfortunate and unwise material son or daughter. An original or directly created Adam and Eve are immortal by inherent endowment, just as are all other orders of local universe sonship. But diminution of immortality potential characterizes their sons and daughters. This original couple cannot transmit unconditioned immortality to their procreated sons and daughters. Their progeny are dependent from continuing life on unbroken intellectual synchrony with the mind gravity circuit of the spirit. Since the inception of the system of Satania, 13 planetary atoms has been lost in rebellion and default, and 681,204 in the subordinate positions of trust. Most of these defections occurred at the time of the Lucifer rebellion. Pause. So what this is claiming, there's more than one Adam and more than one Eve. So, and uplifters of the genetic code, uplifters of the human angelic. I mean, if you look at the Vatican entry passages, there's one that giants can walk through. Whose history are they recording? While living as a permanent citizens on the system capitals, even when functioning on the sighting missions to the evolutionary planets, the material sons do not possess thought adjusters, but it is through these very services that they acquire experimental capacity for adjuster indwellment and the paradise ascension career. These unique and wonderfully useful beings are the connecting links between the spiritual and physical worlds. They are concentrated on the system headquarters, where they reproduce and carry on the material citizens of the realm, and whence they are dispatched to the evolutionary worlds. Unlike the other created sons of planetary service, the material order of sonship is not by nature invisible to material creatures, like the inhabitants of Urantia. These sons of God can be seen, understood, and can in turn actually mingle with the creatures of time, could even procreate with them, though this toll this role of biological upliftment usually falls to the progeny of the planetary Adams. On Jerusalem, the loyal children of any Adam and Eve are immortal, but the offspring of a material son and daughter procreate subsequent to their arrival on the evolutionary planet are not thus immune to natural death. There occurs a change in the life transmitting mechanism when these sons are rematerialized for reproduction function on an evolutionary world. The life carriers designatedly deprive the planetary Adams and Eves of the power of begetting underlying sons and daughters. If they do not default, an Adam and Eve on a planetary mission can live on indefinitely, but within certain limits, their children experience decreasing longevity with each succeeding generation. Transit of the planetary Adams. Upon receipt of the news that another inhabited world has attained the height of physical evolution, the system sovereign convenes the corps of material sons and daughters on the system capital, and following the discussion of needs of such an evolutionary world, 2 of the volunteering group, an Adam and an Eve of the senior corps of material sons, are selected to undertake the adventure to submit to the deep sleep preparatory to being insephrimed and transported from their home and associated service to the new realm of new opportunities and new dangers. Adams and Eves are semi-material creatures and as such are not transportable by seraphim. They must undergo dematerialization on the system capital before they can be insephimed for transport to the world of assignment. The transport seraphim are able to effect such changes in the material sons, and other semi-material beings are enabled them to be inseraphimed, and thus to be transported through space from one world or system to another. About 3 days of standard time are consumed in this transport preparation, and it requires days of standard time are consumed in the transport. Oh, sorry, guys, I'm reading it in the same line. It requires the cooperation of a life carrier to restore such a dematerialized creature to normal existence upon arrival at the end of the seraphic transport journey. While there is this dematerializing technique for preparing the atoms for transit from Jerusalem to evolutionary worlds, there is no equivalent method for taking them away from such worlds unless the entire planet is to be emptied, in which event emergency installation of the dematerialization technique is made for the entire salvable population. If some physical catastrophe should doom the planetary residents of an evolving race, the Melchizedeks and the life carriers would install the technique of dematerialization for all survivors, and by seraphic transport, these beings would be carried away to the new world, prepare for the continuing existence. The evolution of a human race, once initiated on a world of space, must proceed quite independently of the physical survival of that planet. But during the evolutionary ages, it is not otherwise intended that a planetary Adam or Eve shall leave their chosen world. They're saying evac. That just said evac. Like physically taking your vehicle and replanting you somewhere else. So either we're really especially lucky that we have enough benevolent forces here helping us not have to go through this, or That's an agenda that is no bueno for us, so who am I to judge? Just interesting how this is now confirming that plan. And many others. That's just only one example, and I have the book right here. So, the Adamic mission. On the inhabited worlds, the material sons and daughters construct their own garden homes, soon being assisted by their own children. Usually, the site on the garden has been selected by the planetary prince and his corporal staff. Do much of the preliminary work of the preparation with the help of many of the higher types of native races. These gardens of Eden are so named in honor of Urantia, the constellation capital, and because they are patterned after the botanic grandeur of the headquarters world of the Most High Fathers. Such garden homes are usually located in a secluded section and are near tropic zone. They are wonderful creations on an average world. You can judge nothing of these beautiful centers of culture by the fragmentary account of the aborted development of such an undertaking on Urantia. A planetary Adam and Eve are in potential the full gift of physical grace to the mortal races. The chief business of such an imported pair is to multiply and to uplift the children of time, but there is no immediate interbreeding between the people of the garden and those of the world. For many generations, Adam and Eve remained biologically segregated from the evolutionary mortals while they build up a strong race of their own order. This is the origin of the violet race on the inhabited worlds. Very interesting to note that. The plans for race upsetting are prepared by the planetary prince and his staff and are executed by Adam and Eve. And this was where your material son and his companion were placed at great disadvantage when they arrived on Urantia. Caligastia offered crafty and effective opposition to the Adamic mission, and notwithstanding that the Melchizedek receivers of Urantia had duly warned both Adam and Eve concerning the planetary dangers inherent in the presence of the rebellious planetary prince, this arch rebel, by a wily stratagem, outmaneuvered the Edenic pair and entrapped them in a violation of the covenant of their trusteeship as the visible rulers of your world. Curious. I'm going to underline this. They say covenant. Which one? The traitorous planetary prince did succeed in compromising your Adam and Eve, but he failed in his effort to evolve them in the Lucifer rebellion. The fifth order of angels, the planetary helpers, are attached to the Adamic mission, always accompanying the planetary Adams on their world adventures. The corpse of initial assignment is usually about 100,000. When the work of the Urantia Adam and Eve was prematurely launched, when they departed from the ordained plan, it was one of the seraphic voices of the garden who remonstrated with them concerning their reprehensible conduct. And your narrative of this occurrence will illustrate the manner in which your planetary traditions have tended to ascribe everything supernatural to the Lord God. Because of this, Urantians have often become confused concerning the nature of the Universal Father, since the words and acts of all his associates and subordinates have been so generally attributed to him. In the case of Adam and Eve, the angel of the garden was none other than the chief of the planetary helpers then on duty. The seraphim Solonia proclaimed the miscarriage of the divine plan and requisitioned the return of the Melchizedek receivers to Urantia. The secondary midway creatures are indigenous to the Adamic mission. as will the corporeal staff of the planetary prince. The descendants of the material sons and daughters are of two orders, their physical children and the secondary order of midway creatures. These material but ordinarily invisible planetary ministers contribute much to the advancement of a civilization, even to the subjection of insubordinate minorities who may seek to subvert social development and spiritual progress. The secondary midwayers should not be confused with the primary order, who date from the near times of the arrival of the planetary prince. On Urantia, a majority of these early midway creatures went into rebellion with Caligasta and have since Pentecost been interned. Many of the Adamic group who did not remain loyal to the planetary administration are likewise interned. On the day of Pentecost, the loyal primary and the secondary midway effect a voluntary union and have functioned as one unit in world affairs ever since. They serve under the leadership of loyal midwayers, alternatively chosen from two groups. Your world has been visited by four orders of sonship: Caligasta, the planetary prince, Adam and Eve of the material sons of God, Machiventa, Melchizedek, the sage of Salem in the days of Adam, and Christ Michael, who came as the paradise bestowal son. How much more effective and beautiful it would have been had Michael, the supreme ruler of the universe of Nevadon, been welcomed to your world by a loyal and efficient planetary prince, and to devout and successful material son, both of whom could have done so much to enhance the life work and mission of the bestowal son. But not all worlds have been so unfortunate as Urantia. Neither has the mission of the Planetary Adams always been so difficult or so hazardous. When they are successful, they contribute to the development of a great people, continuing as the visible heads of a planetary affairs, even far into the age when such a world is settled in light and life. There's so much I can say, but I'm not. This is going to get juicy. The 6 evolutionary races. Juicy. The race of dominance during the early ages of the inhabited worlds is the red man, who ordinarily is the first to obtain human levels of development. But while the red man is the senior race of the planets, the succeeding colored peoples begin to make their appearances very early in the age of mortal emergence. The earlier races are somewhat superior to the latter. The red man stands far above the indigo black race. The life carriers impart the full bestowal of the living energies to the initial or red race, and each succeeding evolutionary manifestation of a distinct group of mortals represents variation at the expense of the original endowment. Even mortal stature tends to decrease from the red man down to the indigo race, although on Urantia, unexpected strains of giantism appeared among the green and orange peoples. I told you it's going to get juicy. Peoples, it doesn't say humans. Or Urantians, which could be many varied races. On those worlds having all 6 evolutionary races, the superior peoples are the first, third, and fifth races, the red, the yellow, and the blue. The evolutionary races thus alternate in capacity for intellectual growth and spiritual development. The second, fourth, and sixth being somewhat less endowed. These secondary races are the peoples that are missing on certain worlds. They are the ones that have been exterminated on many others. It is a misfortune on Urantia that you so largely lost your superior blue men, except as they persist in your amalgamated white race. The loss of your orange and green stocks is not of such serious concern. Baja Vikita. The evolution of 6 or 3 colored races, while seeming to deteriorate the original endowment of the red man, provides certain very desirable variations in mortal types and affords an otherwise unattainable expression of diverse human potentials. These modifications are beneficial to the progress of mankind as a whole, provided they are subsequently upstepped by the imported Adamic or violet race. On Urantia, this usual plan of amalgamation was not extensively carried out, and this failure to execute the plan of race evolution makes it impossible for you to understand very much about the status of these people on an average inhabited planet by observing the remnants of these early races on your world. In the early days of racial development, there is a slight tendency for the red, the yellow, and the blue man to interbreed. There is a similar tendency for the orange, green, and indigo races to intermingle. The more backward humans are usually employed as laborers by the more progressive races. This accounts for the origin of slavery on the planets during the early ages. The orange men are usually subdued by the red and reduced to the status of servants, sometimes exterminated. The yellow and red man often fraternized, but not always. The yellow race usually enslaves the green, while the blue man subdues the indigo. These races of primitive men think no more of the utilizing the services of their backward fellows in compulsory labor than Urantians would by and selling horses and cattle. On most normal worlds, involuntary servitude does not survive the dispensation of the planetary prince, although mental defectives and social delinquents are often still compelled to perform involuntary labor. But on all normal spheres, this sort of primitive slavery is abolished soon after the arrival of the imported violent or Adamic race. These 6 evolutionary races are destined to be blended and exalted by amalgamation with the progeny of the Adamic uplifters. But before these peoples are blended, the inferior and unfit are largely eliminated. The planetary prince and the material sun, with other suitable planetary authorities, pass on the fitness of the reproducing strains. The difficulty of executing such a radical program on Urantia consists in the absence of competent judges to pass upon the biologic fitness or unfitness of the individuals of your world races. Notwithstanding this obstacle, it seems that you ought to be able to agree upon the biologic disfellowshipping of your more markedly unfit, defective, degenerative, and antisocial stocks. That doesn't seem godly-like, does it now? Racial amalgamation, bestowal of the Adamic blood. When the planetary Adam and Eve arrive on an inhabited world, they have been fully instructed by their superiors as to the best way to effect the improvement of an existing race of intelligent beings. The plan of procedure is not uniform, much is left to the judgment of the ministering pair, and mistakes are not infrequent, especially on disordered, insurrectionary worlds such as Urantia. Usually the violet peoples do not begin to amalgamate with the planetary natives until their own group numbers are over 1 million. But in the meantime, the staff of the planetary prince proclaims that the children of gods have come down, as it were, to be one with the races of men, and the people eagerly look forward to the day when announcement will be made that those who have qualified as belonging to the superior racial strains may proceed to the Garden of Eden, and they be there chosen by the sons and daughters of the Adam as the evolutionary fathers and mothers of a new and blended order of mankind. Here's where Urantia turns to show you that there's more than one race here now. It's not just humans. So many races. And it's not talking about the races that we are all divided against as humans. Races! On the normal worlds, the planetary Adam and Eve never mate with the evolutionary races. This work of biologic betterment is a function of the Adamic progeny. But these Adamites do not go out among the races. The prince's staff bring to the Garden of Eden the superior men and women for voluntary mating with the Adamic offspring. Genetic engineering. And on those worlds, it is so considered the highest honor to be selected as a candidate for mating with sons and daughters of the garden. For the first time, the racial wars and other tribal struggles are diminished, while the world races increasingly strive to qualify for the recognition and admission to the garden. You can at best have but a very meager idea of how this competitive struggle comes to occupy the center of all activities on a normal planet. This whole scheme of race improvement was early wrecked on Urantia. The violet race is a monogamous people, and every evolutionary man or woman uniting with the Adamic sons and daughters pledges not to take another mates and to instruct his or her children in single matedness. The children of each of these unions are educated and trained in the schools of the planetary prince, and then are permitted to go forth to the race of their evolutionary parent, there to marry among the selected groups of the superior mortals. When this strain of the material sons is added to the evolving races of the worlds, a new and greater era of evolutionary progress is initiated. Following this procreative outpouring of imported ability and super evolutionary traits, there ensues a succession of rapid strides in civilization and racial development. In 100,000 years, more progress is made than in 1,000,000 years of former struggle. On your world, even in the face of the miscarriage of the ordained plans, great progress has been made since the gift to your peoples of Adam's life plasm. But while the pure line children of the planetary Garden of Eden can bestow themselves upon the superior members of the evolutionary races, and thereby upstep the biologic level of mankind, it would not prove beneficial for the higher strains of Urantia mortals to mate with the lower races. Such an unwise procedure would jeopardize all civilization on your world. Having failed to achieve race harmonization by the Adamic technique, you must now work out your planetary problem of race improvement by other and largely human methods of adaptation and control. The Edenic regime, Edenic, and on most of the inhabited worlds of the Garden of Eden remain a superb cultural centers and continue to function as the social patterns of planetary conduct and usage age after age. Even in early times when the violet peoples are relatively segregated, their schools receive suitable candidates from among the world's races, while the industrial developments of the garden open up new channels of commercial intercourse. Thus do the Adams and Eves and their progeny continue to the sudden expansion of culture and to the rapid improvement of the evolutionary races of their worlds. And all of these relationships are augmented and sealed by the amalgamation of the evolutionary races of the sons of Adam, resulting in the immediate upstepping of biologic status and quickening of the intellectual potential and the enhancement of spiritual receptivity. On normal worlds, the garden headquarters of the violet race becomes the second center of the world culture, and jointly with the headquarters cities of the planetary prince, sets the pace for the development of civilization. For centuries, the city headquarters schools of the planetary prince and the garden schools of Adam and Eve are contemporary. They are usually not very far apart, and they work together in harmonious cooperation. Think what it would mean on your world if somewhere in the Levant there were a world center of civilization, a great planetary university of culture, which had functioned uninterruptedly for 37,000 years. And again, pause to consider how the moral authority of even such an ancient center would be reinforced where they're situated not far distant, still another and older headquarters of celestial ministry, whose traditions would exert a cumulative force of 500,000 years of integrated evolutionary influence. It is a custom which eventually spreads the ideals of Eden to the whole world. The schools of the planetary prince are primarily concerned with philosophy, religion, morals, and the higher intellectual and artistic achievements. The garden schools of Adam and Eve are usually devoted to practical arts, fundamental intellectual training, social, cultural, economic development, trade relations, physical efficiency, and civil government. Eventually, these world centers amalgamate, but this actual affiliation, sometimes does not occur until the times of the first magisterial sun. The continuing existence of the planetary Adam and Eve, together with the pure line nucleus of the violet race, imparts the stability of growth to Edenic culture, by virtue of which it comes to act upon the civilization of a world with the compelling force of tradition. And these immortal material sons and daughters, we encountered the last and the indispensable link connecting God with man, bridging the almost infinite gulf between the eternal creator and the lowest finite personalities of time. Here is a beginning of high origin, who is physical, material, even a sex creature, like Urantia mortals, one who can see and comprehend the invisible planetary prince and interpret him to the mortal creatures of the realm. For the material sons and daughters are able to see all of the lower orders of spirit beings, they visualize the planetary prince and his entire staff, visible and invisible. With the passing of centuries, through the amalgamation of their progeny with the races of men, these same material sons and daughters become accepted as the common ancestors of mankind, the common parents of now blended descendants of the evolutionary races. It is intended that mortals who start out from an inhabited world have the experience of recognizing 7 fathers. 1, the biologic father, the father in the flesh. 2, the father of the realm, the planetary Adam. 3, the father of the spheres, the system sovereign. 4, the most high father, the constellation father. 5, the universal father, the creator son, and the supreme ruler of the local creations. 6, the super fathers, the ancients of days who govern the super universe. 7, the spirit or Havona father, the universal father who dwells on paradise and bestows his spirit to live and work in the minds of the lowly creatures who inhabit the universe of universes. United administration. From time to time, the Arvonal sons of paradise come to the inhabited worlds for judicial actions. But the first Arvonals who arrive on a magisterial mission inaugurates the 4th dispensation of an evolutionary world of time and space. On some planets, where this magisterial son is universally accepted, he remains for 1 age, and thus the planet prospers under the joint rulership of 3 sons, the planetary prince, the material son, and the magisterial son, the latter 2 being visible to all in the inhabitants of the realm. Before the first magisterial son concludes his mission on a normal evolutionary world, there has been effective the union of the educational and administrative work of the planetary prince and the material son. This amalgamation of the dual supervision of a planet brings into existence a new and effective order of world administration. Upon the retirement of the magisterial son, the planetary Adam assumes the outward direction of the sphere. The material son and daughter thus act jointly as planetary administrators until the settling of the world in the era of light and life, whereupon the planetary prince is evaluated to the position of a planetary sovereign. During this age of advanced evolution, Adam and Eve become what might be called joint prime ministers of glorified realm. As soon as the new and consolidated capital of the evolving world has become well established, and just as fast as competent subordinate administrators can be properly trained, subcapitals are found on remote land bodies and among the different peoples. Before the arrival of another dispensational sun, from the 50 to 100 of these subcenters will have been organized. The planetary prince and his staff still foster the spiritual and philosophic domains of activity. Adam and Eve pay particular attention to the physical, scientific, and economic status of the realm. Both groups equally devote their energies to the promotion of the arts, social relations, and intellectual achievements. By the time of the inauguration of the fifth dispensation of the world's affairs, a magnificent administration of planetary activities has been achieved. Mortal existence on such a well-managed sphere is indeed stimulating and profitable, and if Urantians could only observe life as such a planet, they would immediately appreciate the value of those things which their world has lost through embracing evil and participating in rebellion. Presented by secondary Lanonadek, son of the reverse corpse. Now for my Urantia scholars. This is pretty interesting. It meshes with Ashiana Dean's work of the Voyagers book. Though the difference is there are races, there are 5 that come down that seed humans. And they're all different races, and not just the red man started off first. They all came down in succession at the same time and then spread apart because we all have the God Spark 48 strand seed encoding within our Templar. But it's very interesting how this is like paralleling, merging the blue man. Okay, blue man, go look at the Indian beginning stories and you get their gods, which were blue. For those who have not been a scholar of Urantia and are like, what the hell? We're not alone. It's not just us here. It never has been us, just us here. And which is fine. It's a beautiful thing, but we got to get the negative things, the negative races, the negative things that are keeping and holding us back and manipulating our genetic codes and us from getting the upgrades that are needed to progress into the rest of the super universe. Can't do that if we're being held back against our wills, and there's nothing that, unless we find them and get some technology to be as an equal. But I thought this was a very interesting chapter. I enjoyed it. Wow. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. And it's a lot to digest. But the next is even better. I mean, this whole section just keeps getting better and better with the information. Even though I don't agree with the Urantia book and how the Lucifer rebellion happened, it doesn't really matter because this is just one perception of it, but it's very interesting. And the planetary mortal epochs is the next paper we're going to read, and it's going to be good. Again, I really enjoy this book. Do I agree with everything in it? No. But that's okay, because you might pick something up that sparks you. And like I was saying earlier, this has such a definite and extensive. I mean, this is extensive. It's over 2,000 pages of an amazing, incredible information about jobs and the roles of each of them. And it's a lot to take in, but it's very precise. And I like how it's given to us. So with that, again, thank you to everybody who showed up this morning, this afternoon. It was afternoon by me. And again, I didn't put an announcement out. You know, I know people work and have a life and go out and do their lives. But thank you for those who showed up. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all the comments. I like to chit chat. I am thinking about doing a live maybe once a week. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I'm just screwing around with this idea. Just we'll see what happens. You know, I'm not looking for fame, and I'm not looking for a following like other people, but it's really nice to interact with people and banter back and forth, because a lot of people have a lot of books and a lot of great things that I don't even know about. And I love expanding my learning, and I love looking into things. So I do thank everybody for those suggestions that were made today. Hopefully I could find some versions of things that I could read. But I want to get through some of these really big books first, because Urantia's huge. Awaspe's huge. I still have yet to finish The Law of One. That's huge. Blavatsky's huge. Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings is huge. They're all huge. And the Curtis books, I'm going to continue until I can't anymore, because I love them so much. So guys, thank you for sticking around with my journey. I really appreciate all of you. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people that are interested in some crazy books that no one's heard of. And there are a lot of people that hear of these books, but there are a lot of people who don't. So I think it's important that they're exposed anyway. And again, please don't feel shy about going in the comments and giving your take on things. As long as you're doing it as constructive and respectful. I don't deal with anybody who's destructive and is negative Nancy. I don't do that. And I don't do that in any of the groups that I moderate. I don't allow it, don't tolerate it. And why? Because we really need to transcend this negative bashing people and putting people down. Criticism is great. Having an opinion is great, but let it be constructive and not destructive. So, sending each and every one of you protection, light, love, and shielding. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. I know I've been contemplating a lot the last couple of hours. I was sitting on my deck reading a book and meditating and getting my thoughts in order, because I got a lot of downloads and they're all over the place. So I'm filtering that out. I'm trying to rest and figure out what I'm doing for work. Trying to innovate my channel a little bit. So I'm putting some action into motion to manifest. I hope all of you are doing very similar things. We need to create our new paradigm. We got to do it together. So until next time, guys, have a great weekend. Be safe, be seen, and I'll see you on the next one.